2025. I've got a long way to go and a short time to get there, so we're going to bust on through this so you guys get your information. There is a lot going on. Basically, as this one says, is that Iran war is promised. That's right. That is the word coming out of the administration and from people in the know in Israel. So you might want to hold on to your butts and get ready for that kind of an action to happen. So before I get started, I want to extend my deepest condolences to some random dude for the loss of your father, sir. I'm very sorry. All right. This is the crisis report for March 29th, 2025. This is entitled Iran War is Promised. And we're going to go on through it, as you can see right here. You might want to check things out in other areas. All right. And we are going to get started right now on the most comprehensive news on YouTube and try and bust this out so we can go and get to playing some music. Had sports ball all morning. Tomorrow, more sports ball. So we're just going to keep rolling with it. We appreciate you being here. Hit that like button, do the subscribe thing, darken out the bell, and help us. Because Lord help us, this platform is not helping us, okay? So we need everything you can do. All the buttons, all the comments, everything. You want to join us as a member like Gene or others, Roddy Hood. They are supporters of this and what we're trying to do, which is just trying to get you information in a one-hit package. So you can slap on the earbuds and listen to what's going on, move about your life, and then come back. And it is comprehensive. So if you can do that, go ahead and do it. If you like what we're doing, go ahead and do it. We appreciate you being here. This is your crisis report for March 29th, 2025. Putin has signaled an Arctic push. Russia is expanding its Arctic footprint with upgraded northern ports and a powerful fleet. Roddy Hood, thank you so much. That is very kind of you. Russia is expanding. New focus on Murmansk, Arkhangelsk, which is Archangel-esque. Tixi, more 57 active ice-capable vessels, including nuclear and diesel-electric. More under construction. Stalingrad, Chukotka, and Enesrosia. Earthquake is collapsing Naypyidaw Airport Control Tower in Myanmar. The earthquake itself was a 7.7, followed by a 6.4 aftershock. I'm sure there have been more. It was terrible. There are literally thousands that are no longer with us, and we're going to get to all the information of the latest that we've got over there on what happened with that terrible earthquake. European Commission will invest 1.3 billion euros in AI, cybersecurity, and digital skills through the Digital Europe program for 2025 to 2027, or you could just call it the European version of Big Brother. Sudanese Army Deputy Commander Yasser al-Attah. We tried to avoid war, but large regional tools, referring to the UAE and similars, aim to dismantle Sudan. Their true goal is clear, securing Israel fully and finally. Whoosh. Now we're rolling. For the first time in 4 months, IDF striked Beirut. Footage shows Israeli airstrikes targeting building in Dakheh, Beirut, which IDF spokesperson earlier instructed civilians to evacuate. Macron. Israel's strikes on Lebanon today have no justification. I will speak to the Israeli Prime Minister in the next 48 hours. That was from yesterday when there were strikes going on in Lebanon, to which now Trump has said, please stop. 896 people have been killed since the Israeli airstrikes resumed in Gaza. Myanmar's shadow foreign minister has announced a new plan. Anti-junta rebels will be deployed to provide humanitarian assistance. This move aims to address the ongoing crisis in the region. Greenland's Democrats and 3 more parties announced a government coalition agreement on Friday, just hours before a visit by U.S. Vice President J.D. Vance to the Arctic island that President Donald Trump has expressed interest in acquiring. Israeli Defense Minister Katz said the Lebanese government must enforce a ceasefire agreement between Israel and the Hezbollah movement to its side of the border, or Israel would continue to conduct attacks. I'm sending a clear message to the Lebanese government. If you do not enforce the ceasefire agreement. We will enforce it, he said in a statement after Israeli aircraft hit targets in Beirut. UN World Food Program, WFP, has warned that 58 million people are at risk of extreme hunger or starvation due to a 40% drop in donations in 2025. Agency has received only 1.57 billion so far this year, far below the 21.1 billion it targeted for 2024. Medvedev of Russia. Zelensky will be hanged on the Maidan if he approves the mineral deal with the U.S. Netanyahu, Israel will strike everywhere in Lebanon against any threat. Netanyahu tasked Mossad with finding countries that would agree to receive large numbers of Palestinians displaced from the Gaza Strip, according to Axios. Trump is not currently actively pursuing his plan to deport Gaza residents. Source is Axios. USGS analysis projects thousands of dead in Myanmar quake. They are correct. U.S. government analysis warned that thousands could be dead and severe economic damage is likely following Friday's powerful earthquake in Myanmar, with Sagaing and Mektila regions worst affected. Report highlighted that many buildings in the area are vulnerable to seismic activity, making high casualties and widespread destruction probable. As of now, Myanmar's state media, MRTV, reports at least 144 deaths, 732 injuries. That goes up exponentially from here. Trump has asked the Supreme Court to vacate a judge's order that blocked deportations under the Alien Enemies Act, according to NBC News. Trump and Canada's Carney will meet after Canada's elections. That happens on April 28th, if I remember correctly. Israel violating international law in Gaza. UN accuses Israel of illegal forced evacuations in Gaza without ensuring shelter or safety. 10 evacuation orders since March 18th. 855 Palestinians killed, 1,869 injured. ICC indicts Netanyahu and ex-defense minister for crimes of la guerra. Houthi media. 44 U.S. airstrikes targeted the Yemeni governance of Sana'a, Sada'a, Hodeidah, Al-Jaf, Amran, and Maghrib. Wall Street Journal reports the wave of U.S. military strikes across Yemen last night was one of the most powerful and extensive since the operation against the Houthis began. Majority of the strikes are directed against elements of the Houthi leadership. A series of explosions in the southern suburbs of Beirut, Lebanon, caused by raids of the Israeli Air Force for the first time since 4 months as a result of today's rocket launches from southern Lebanon towards northern Israel. U.S. Vice President Vance and his wife arrived in Greenland today on their way to Patuft Space Base. Patuft Space Base, formerly Thule Air Base, is a United States Space Force base located on the northwest coast of Greenland in the Kingdom of Denmark under a defense agreement between Denmark and the United States. Conor McGregor says that the EU Migration Pact will be the ruination of the indigenous people of Ireland. England's Sentencing Council upholds race and religion guidelines for sentencing minorities effective April 1st, despite Deputy Justice Secretary Jenrick's warnings of blatant bias against Christians and straight white men. A Hezbollah official to Al-Mayadeen. Hezbollah has nothing to do with the missiles fired from southern Lebanon towards Israel today. Israeli airstrike targeted Dahya suburbs, southern Beirut, Lebanon. The airstrike targeted a building in the southern suburbs after a previous evacuation warning and marks the first airstrike in the Shiite suburbs of the Lebanese capital since the end of November. Putin announced that Russia will be the boss of the Arctic. We will do everything to strengthen Russia's global leadership in the Arctic. And in other statements, he said Putin instructed the government to expand the capacity of Arctic ports and work on building new harbors. Siberia and the Urals should get a rail link to the Arctic to relieve the Trans-Siberian Railway. The number of military personnel in the Arctic zone will increase. Russia's tasks in the Arctic must be a historical scale spanning decades and centuries. U.S. Navy MQ-4C Triton has been spying on southern Iran for the last 12 hours. On today, 28th of March, 7.7 magnitude earthquake hit central Myanmar, with the epicenter being close to the city of Mandalay, second biggest center of Myanmar, with dozens of buildings having collapsed, as well as the Ava Bridge over the Irrawaddy River. Shocks were felt in Thailand and southern mainland China. Military junta of Myanmar declared a state of emergency, as so far the casualties are numbered in Myanmar: 163 dead, 300 plus injured; Thailand 4 dead, 68 injured; China 2 injured; 167 dead total, 370 injured. That goes up tenfold. USGS estimates that more than 10,000 people may have been killed in the Myanmar earthquake, according to new data. After landing in Greenland, United States Vice President J.D. Vance went to a cafeteria in Patuth Space Base, which is located on the Danish overseas territory, alongside U.S. military personnel, saying, "It's cold as isht here. Nobody told me." It's Greenland, sir. Wear a coat. United States President Donald Trump: "Greenland is very important for the peace of the world. I think Denmark and the EU understands it, and if they don't, we're going to have to explain it to them." United States official tells Axios surge of air power into the Pacific Indian region, including B-2 bombers sent to Diego Garcia, is linked to Trump's 2-month deadline for Iran. 14 United States Navy airstrikes reported around the Yemeni capital, Sana'a, now against Houthi terrorist positions. United States Vice President J.D. Vance from Greenland: "The President, Donald Trump, has said clearly he doesn't think that military force is going to be necessary, but he absolutely believes that Greenland is an important part of the security, not just of the U.S., but of the world, and of course the people of Greenland too. This has to happen." Entire Greenland debacle, as much EU liberals dislike listening to it, isn't something hard to make a guess. Via the Suez Canal, now closed by that's ballistic missile, fire by Iranian-backed Houthi militants. A shipping route takes 30 to 35 days to move cargo between PRC-controlled Shanghai to the European Union. Via the Northern Sea route, technically, it only takes 18 days. Around 20 Russian suicide drones just struck Ukraine's fourth largest city, Dnipro, over the past half hour. Paul Hyun Kim, Las Vegas, accused of shooting up and firebombing a Tesla store on March 18th. Kim is a far-left extremist with many social media posts expressing support for leftist political violence. In addition to being federally charged, Kim faces state charges of arson, destroying personal property of another valuing $5,000 or more, possessing, disposing of a fire device, and discharging a firearm into a vehicle. Las Vegas Metropolitan Police Department press conference confirmed it. U.S. Navy aircraft carrier USS Carl Vinson departed Guam on Friday and is now headed toward U.S. Central Command to join the Harry S. Truman CSG, according to USNI News. Confirmation of the elimination of the Houthi leader Abdul Hakim al-Kawani, head of the militia's Security and Intelligence Service, in U.S. airstrikes targeting the Military Intelligence Department in the militia's Military Command Building in Tahrir district of Sana'a. Turkey: following the arrest of the mayor of Istanbul, the authorities in Turkey have decided to arrest Mehmet Pahlavian, lawyer of the arrested mayor of Istanbul. There are major protests going on in Istanbul as we speak. Prime Minister Netanyahu: those who have not yet internalized the new situation in Lebanon received another example of our determination today. The equation has changed. What happened before the October 7th will not be repeated. We will not allow any firing on our communities, not even a drizzle. We will continue to vigorously enforce the ceasefire. We will attack everywhere in Lebanon against any threat to the state of Israel, and we will ensure that all our residents in the north return to their homes safely. Trump on Iran: I'd rather we resolve things, but if it doesn't happen, bad things are going to happen to them. U.S. official tells Axios the surge of air power into the Pacific Indian region, including B-2 bombers and Diego Garcia, is linked to the 2-month deadline for Iran. The buildup signals serious prep in case diplomacy collapses. USS Truman carrier went berserk, launching a swarm of warplanes, 66 airstrikes distributed across Republican Guard Command Base, Sana'a, Weapons Depot in Kitaf, Sa'ada, Al-Jaf, Dafwa Base, and Hudaydah. All of this happened simultaneously. State Department has formally notified Congress it is effectively dissolving USAID. Somali president, to in a letter to Trump, says Somalia is ready to give the United States exclusive control of the Balidogle and Berbera air bases. These are strategic on the Horn of Africa. Trump plans to host El Salvador's Bukele at the White House in April. Ukraine will not recognize U.S. military aid as loans, according to Zelensky, so I guess he just gets to tell us what we need to do now. And all your money is going to go to Ukraine, okay, guys? He needs it. Zelensky says Ukraine has obtained licenses to produce air defense systems from several European countries, along with access to their ammunition stockpiles. Ukraine sought U.S. licenses to produce Patriot systems and missiles, but it was denied. The agreement with Europe may involve the production of Iris-T and or NASAMS. Trump is weighing a tax hike on the richest Americans in exchange for cutting taxes on tips. Federal judge has ruled that Rumeysa Öztürk cannot be removed from the U.S. while the court reviews its jurisdiction in her case. U.S. District Court for Massachusetts also ordered the government to respond to her amended petition by 5 p.m. on April 1st, 2025. She is the Russian national who is against Putin and the war. Trump asks Supreme Court to lift ban on deportations under emergency law. J.D. Vance says Denmark has underinvested in Greenland. Trump says he will be announcing pharma tariffs soon. Collision warning sounded in the cockpit of Delta plane due to a close call with an Air Force jet near Reagan National Airport. The close call happened close to the spot where an American Airlines regional jet and an Army Black Hawk helicopter collided on the 29th of January. Death toll from the huge earthquake that hit Myanmar and Thailand is now past 1,600 people. WHO proposed slashing a fifth of its budget following the U.S. decision to withdraw and must now reduce its reach and workforce, Chief of Staff said. More than 1,600 people have been killed and thousands injured in Myanmar in a powerful 7.7 magnitude earthquake. Massive tremors have been felt also in Thailand. Hundreds of thousands of people in Istanbul are currently protesting in support of the arrested Istanbul mayor Ekrem İmamoğlu. French Minister of the Interior Bruno Retailleau, hijab is not a sign of freedom, but of submission. Long live support. Down with the hijab. Islamism is a poison and the only separation threatening the republic, according to French Minister of the Interior Bruno Retailleau. Gaza, now a pro-Hamas joint Palestinian operations room, announces that Hamas has executed 6 Gazan civilians under accusations of collaboration with the Zionist occupation. Gazans allegedly were distributing money to other collaborators. Noteworthy is it happened as widespread anti-Hamas and pro-Fatah protests are taking place in all Gaza, calling for the ousting of the Iran-aligned Ikhwani group. Senior Israeli official to Channel 13 says there will be no escape from a military confrontation with Iran, and the UAE has issued death sentences for the 3 Islamist Uzbeks who kidnapped and murdered Israeli Rabbi Zvi Kogan on the orders of Iran. Good news for those that are playing. Pikachu has successfully completed his mission in the Turkey protests and has moved on to level 2. He has been spotted at the Israeli protests as well. If you remember from yesterday, Pikachu was seen running from the police in Istanbul. Well, it seems he's ran his way all the way down to Israel and is now attending the protests in Israel. China has halted the Panamanian port sale to BlackRock. Hong Kong conglomerate CK Hutchinson, led by tycoon Li Ka-ching, will not sign a deal next week to sell its 2 strategic ports of the Panamanian Canal to a BlackRock-led group, South China Morning Post reported on Friday. The deal was expected to be signed on April 2nd, according to the sale announcing made on March 4th. It is understood the situation does not mean the deal has been called off, South China Morning Post added, citing the sources. C.K. Hutchinson and BlackRock did not immediately respond to a Reuters request for comment. Chinese authorities have reacted negatively to plans by the conglomerate, while the deal was hailed by U.S. President Donald Trump, who wants to retake controls of the strategic waterway. J.D. Vance, in the gangster-style threats to Denmark, says, "Yo, our message to Denmark is very simple. You got nothing good. Job by the people of Greenland. You have underinvested in the people and the security architecture. This got to change, dog." I'll never do that again. Trump, once again, threatened Iran in the name of Israel. "My big preference is we work it out with Iran, but if we don't work it out, bad things are going to happen with Iran." Zelensky says that Trump can forget that Ukraine will return their money. Ukraine won't accept past military support as debt. Can you imagine the audacity? U.S. political influencer Jackson Hinkle held a rally in Yemen with more than 1 million people during the U.S. bombings of the country. Fox News is mocking Denmark and Japan, saying we don't need friends. If we have to, we will burn down a few bridges with Denmark to take Greenland. We're big boys. We dropped the bombs on Japan, and now they are our ally. Xi Jinping says as the U.S. closes in on itself and tariffs and enters a trade war, China will increasingly open its doors wide. Yeah, that'll work out well for you. The man who attacked people with a knife in the center of Amsterdam has been identified as a 30-year-old Ukrainian, city police said. Wonderful. An RS limousine from Vladimir Putin's official motorcade exploded in the streets of Moscow, just blocks from FSB HQ. It is still unclear whether it is an assassination attempt of some kind. All right, so this is an important read. This is the NATO threat rising on Israel's border. Syria and Turkey are negotiating a dangerous deal, transferring control of key territory near Palmyra, once a stronghold for Iranian-backed militias in exchange for Turkish military and economic support. Turkey is planning to establish an airbase in central Syria to host F-16 fighter jets. If the U.S. greenlights Turkey's re-entry into the F-35 program, the threat intensifies dramatically. This would put a heavily armed NATO member force equipped with advanced U.S. technology deep inside Syria within striking distance of Israel. Some are calling it a greater threat to Israel than even Iran. This cannot be allowed to happen. There must be a proactive approach, not the usual reactive pattern Israel has fallen into, according to Amir Sarfati. If this isn't addressed now, a direct military clash between Israel and Turkey is inevitable. And the U.S. must wake up to reality. One of their own NATO allies is on a collision course with Israel. And the U.S. must wake up to reality. One of their they're on a collision course. We've been covering that, of course. Turkey and Israel have been at odds with each other in that region. Turkey is definitely trying to exert its control over Syria. Short while ago, the IDF struck a mortar launch site in Khan Yunis in the area from which mortars had been fired at IDF troops in southern Gaza earlier today, Saturday. And senior Hamas official Khalil al-Hayya says Hamas's weapons in Gaza are a red line. We will not give them up for the sake of any deal. So as you can see, there is a promise of war with Iran. It's just a matter of when. So you have the collision course between Turkey and Israel as well. You've got the Houthis and America going back and forth with each other. You've got the Panamanian Canal problem. You've got the Greenland issue. The world is setting up for a global conflict, friends. You better act like it, okay? So pretty pleased with sugar on top. Keep coming back for all of your information here. I know it's a little bit shorter than usual, but this is what we got and what we're doing. I'd like to thank, I believe it was Roddy Hood for promising the 10 memberships to the people here in the chat. Thanks so much for being here on Crisis Report, the most comprehensive news on YouTube. We're daily at about 6:30 a.m. We get started and take you through everything. Today, Saturday, of course, is a little bit different one, but we'll be back again tomorrow in the afternoon to do it all over again. Really appreciate you being here. Please hit that like button, do the subscribe thing, darken out the bell, and keep coming back for more. This is the most comprehensive news on YouTube. We rattle through it so you can slap the earbuds on, go about your day, and listen to what we got. Many thanks to my awesome mods, Hudson Valley, Sway, Green Thumb Prepper, and of course, some random dude. Please keep his family in your thoughts. His father just passed away 2 days ago. And we, of course, are sympathetic in sending our condolences. All right, friends, God bless you all. We really appreciate it. And we'll see you on the next one. Have a great day.